Hello everyone, welcome back to the Sistering Book Club. I'm Lexi. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my August wrap-up. So the eight books that I read this August. I'm gonna just mix these up a little bit. First, I read 56 Days by Catherine Ryan Howard. This was the, where does it say? Oh, this was the July book of the month. This was a thriller. The interesting thing about this book is it sets place during the COVID-19 pandemic. However, the pandemic is not a huge part of the plot scene. So I know I've seen some people say like reading is their escape from reality and they didn't want to read about the virus like when we're already living it. But I think that really makes up like a small part of the plot. So there's a girl and a boy and they meet just before the shutdown happens and they decide like they have this really good connection, things are going really well, like obviously this is just the beginning of something new, and they decide to quarantine together. This does turn into a sort of murder mystery, and that's not a spoiler because it says so in the cover here. So they find a decomposing body inside the boy's apartment. So you don't really know who died, how they died, but that is on the cover in here. So I really enjoyed this book. It has a good twist at the end, and I'm a sucker for a good twist, and I did not see this one coming at all. I gave this book 4 stars out of 5. Next, I read This Time Next Year by Sophie Cousins. I've seen this book a lot, so I feel like I had pretty high expectations. It was okay. I mean, it was a romance. It's about a girl and a guy, and they're both born on January 1st of, I believe, 1990. And there's like this big thing in the hospital where the first baby born that day wins, I forget how much money, some amount of money. And the guy actually is born a minute before the girl in this book. And so then there's this ongoing joke about how Minnie is the girl's name, had her luck stolen by the boy that was born first. So every year on her birthday, she is like convinced that that day's cursed and all kinds of bad things always happen to her. And then almost 30 years later, these two end up meeting. And that's kind of where the story takes place. So it kind of jumps back and forth, kind of where he's at on his birthday in previous years, where she's at on her birthday in previous years, up until the present when they're meeting for the first time. It's an interesting concept. It was just kind of like okay for me. I think I gave this 2 stars. I don't think it took me that long to read it. I just was kind of like okay, like flipping through, like waiting for something good to happen, and it just kind of, it didn't really wow me. I don't think that there's anything wrong with this book. I was just kind of underwhelmed by it. Next, I read The Tattooist of Auschwitz by Heather Morris. I've heard a lot of good things about this book. I thought it was a pretty interesting read, kind of to just see this guy's life through his, I forget how many years he was in Auschwitz. It was like 5 to 10 years or something. He was in there for a long time, and he obviously was the one that tattooed the numbers on the prisoners as they arrived to the camp. I gave this book 3 stars. I think it was really interesting how he always had a positive outlook and was able to climb to the spot that he got to based on how he treated people. So next, I read People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I'm sure as many others have seen this all over Book Talk, Booktube, and I was just kind of like, oh sure, I'm sure it's like just a romance or whatever, like another romance to read, sure, I'll buy it. I let it sit on my shelf for like several months, and then I was going on vacation, and I was like, why not bring People We Meet on Vacation on vacation? Oh my god, I loved this book. I gave it 5 stars, and this was definitely my favorite book that I read this month. So this is about a guy and a girl, and they meet their freshman year of college, and they're kind of like total opposites. The guy's like a nerd, like socially awkward. The girl is very outgoing, like spunky, rebellious. They meet on freshman orientation day at college, and they kind of had like this weird interaction, and it was like, oh whatever, like nice meeting you, like not ever speaking or planning to speak to each other again. However, at the end of the semester, her roommate says like, oh, like, do you need a ride back home? I know someone who's traveling to Ohio, and it happens to be the guy. And from there, their friendship just kind of blossomed. So they've been friends for, I think it's like 10 years, best friends. It's always been platonic. And you go back, well, they decide every summer that they want to do summer trips together. So they try and find the ways to do like the most cheapest vacations possible at first. And then she ends up getting a job where she travels and then writes articles and stuff based on her vacations. But you can kind of see, like, jumping back in time, that she is kind of like, oh, like, this guy's kind of weird, but like, he's my best friend now. And you can kind of slowly see her start to catch feelings for him. And oh, it's just like the most heart-wrenching novel ever. I loved this. I wish I could read it again for the first time. So I don't want to overhype books, but like, this one was really good. So then I read Beach Read by Emily Henry. And I also had high expectations for this because I've heard some people say they liked this better than People They Meet on Vacation. People We Meet on Vacation. And so I was like, whoa, it can get better than this. I was kind of let down. I definitely liked that book better. I did still give this one 4 stars out of 5. This one is about a girl and a guy again. The girl's dad dies, and when he dies, she finds out that her dad was having an affair with another woman, and they had a beach house together. So when he died, he left the house to her, and she has to go clean out all the belongings, and it's very difficult for her because her parents were still together. Her mom knew about the affair, but January did not know about the affair. So it was very hard for her to go into this house where he had this like secret life with this other woman and to kind of clean it out. And then her next door neighbor happens to be her rival from college. They're both authors, and of course they meet and they kind of make this deal to kind of like switch genres. So January is always writing happily ever after romance, like feel-good romance novels, and Augustus writes kind of the more dark thrilling novels, and they kind of just like dog on each other, like, oh, like why would you want to write that kind of stuff, and why would you, like, happily ever after, so unrealistic. And so they make a deal to switch genres and write in each other's style, and whoever sells their book first, you know, wins or whatever. So this novel was still good. I just had kind of my expectations set so high because of how much I liked People We Meet on Vacation. On my Kindle, I started reading the Addicted series by the Ritchie sisters. So I read Addicted to You. It's a very interesting concept. So it's about a guy and a girl, and they're both addicts. So the guy is an alcoholic and the girl is addicted to sex. And they both come from very, very wealthy families. They've been family friends for like since their childhood. So these two are also like friends to lovers. So they start out being best friends pretty much their whole lives, and then his family kind of finds out about his alcohol problem, and he kind of lies and makes up the story about how him and Lily, the other girl, start dating, and that kind of like turns his life around. So they are in this fake relationship for, I think it's 3 years, and she like goes to parties with him, leaves to go sleep with other guys, he gets trashed. She then like gets them together, drives them home, and that's like their relationship. That's how they hide it from their family. So that was pretty interesting. I also read the second book from that series. It's called Ricochet. I think I gave that book 3 or 4 stars out of 5. It's I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but it follows the same characters and kind of like their next step from their fake relationship. And I'm currently reading the 3rd book, so I'll probably get back to you on that one next month. I think there's 10 books in this series. At first it follows Lauren and Lily, and then Lily's sisters, I guess, have like a spin-off series, and I have like all 10 of them on my Kindle, so those will probably be in my my next month's read. And last, I read Not a Happy Family by Sherry LaPena. This was the August book of the month, and this book is about, again, a very wealthy family, and they all get together for Easter dinner, and then a couple days later, their housekeeper goes and finds the parents are both murdered in the house. And it kind of turns into, oh, like, all the kids were there. There's 3 kids, and then spouses and a boyfriend. There's like a sister, a friend. There's like so many characters in this book. At first it was really hard to keep all the people straight. I still, honestly, throughout the whole book I was like, wait, who are you again? Because it kept like jumping back to everybody. But I did not think I knew who. Well, I had a guess at who I thought who did it, and it's not what I thought. So this is just a fun little murder mystery. Everybody kind of had it out for their parents. Like, the dad was just like your typical like arrogant wealthy guy, and just kind of everybody had motive to kill, so because they were all going to inherit the money obviously when they died. So very interesting novel. I gave this 3 stars out of 5. It wasn't like my most favorite novel, just because the murder was kind of like the only thing going on. There wasn't any like, you know, like side stuff. Like 56 Days, there was like a romance involved and a murder, so that was like more interesting. But this was still a good read. Yeah, I think that's all. Those are the 8 books I read this month. I think it was a pretty good month. I'm excited for this upcoming month because I have lots and lots of good books on my TBR. If you haven't seen any of my hauls, go check them out. I have lots and more to come. And that's going to be it for today's video. Until next time, bye.